Well, hello there, everyone, and welcome to the Wednesday Night Wars podcast here on Fightful, Fightful.com, FightfulWrestling.com, YouTube.com/Fightful. I'm Mr. Warren Hayes, sitting in for Sean Sapp, who's not with us this evening. He's off covering Dana White's House of Madness, but we are here to cover our own form of madness in the form of the Wednesday Night Wars between NXT and AEW. NXT and AEW Dynamite. It was another evening of wrestling. We're blessed. But you know, we take everything that we do with a lot of joy and pride here at Fightful. So head on over to Fightful.com or FightfulWrestling.com if you don't want to be bothered about all that MMA and boxing nonsense, where you can check out all sorts of articles from all of the staff who cover wrestling from A to Z, including Jeremy Lambert, who's joining us this evening, sitting in for Warren Hayes, who's usually in that. See, Jeremy, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Big shoes to fill being in your seat, Warren, but I will try my best.
No, they're really not that big, but thank you nonetheless. Otherwise, you can also head on over to Fightful Select and subscribe to that. Fightful Select is always one of the best ways to support Fightful and everything that we do. You get a whole bunch of extra content, extra podcasts. You have Sean, who does a Q&A session there where he answers like 60,000 questions a week. You have extra list and your boy content there. And you also have Alex Pawlowski, who has Sour Graps there, where he reviews Raw and SmackDown au goût du jour, which is always kind of sour, kind of grapsy. And that's Alex Pawlowski right here, who does that twice a week. How you doing, Alex?
It's true. It would be weird if I called my show Sour Graps and there was neither sourness nor grapsiness. But yeah, I mean, listen, I'll stop doing a negative show when they start doing good shows. And sadly, I think it's going to be a while before
it's going to be a while.
So yeah, twice a week I review Raw and SmackDown. If there's a pay-per-view, I'll find a way to throw in my 2 cents about that thing. Yeah, hey, craziness going on Raw and SmackDown. If you hate it as much as I do, I don't think that's actually possible. But tune in and watch me on Fightful Select every week, twice a week.
There's Alex is the king at what he does. If you like to complain about wrestling, he's your guy. FightfulSelect.com. Go check it out. And of course, if you're watching live here on YouTube right now, as we're recording, you can drop us a super chat, and we will read your question or comment on the air. And you know, I know Sean, he tries to mix and match the some of the topics that you guys and gals drop in as super chats as we go along. I'll try to be as proficient and stylistic as he can, but I will start off by reading off Anakin's super chat. Thank you very much, Anakin. Says, tonight was a good night for defending champs. Broserweight was not a good night, for defending champs. Broserweights lose the tag titles, and Sean somehow loses to Luke. Hashtag conspiracy. Yeah, you know what? They ganged up on him, right? We're gonna talk. Of course, we're gonna talk about the Broserweights, or the whatever you want to call them, a little later on. But yeah, there was a conspiracy where they had to pile 3 guys from Wrestle Talk on Sean. And not to mention, you know, I find it kind of weird that No Way Jose sort of ducked Sean on that one. That was kind of strange. Anakin says, Warren, did you find out, with another super chat, by the way, again, thank you. Did you find out what happened to your regular food delivery driver? This is getting ridiculous. On my Twitter, I posted at some point that I've been posting about my Uber driver. I've been getting the same Uber driver over and over, and it bears mention because his name is Venus, and he's kind of become a mascot over there. And no, I haven't found out. I ordered some stuff this weekend. A guy named Paul delivered my order. It wasn't Venus, it was Paul. Something sketchy's going on there with Uber Eats. Sean Planet Stasiak left us a super chat, says, happy Alexa Bliss is a 7-time champion, Money in the Bank winner. Awesome. And Michael Morgan left a super chat as well. Thank you very much. As Jericho is going to somehow get that damn bat over. Yeah, I mean, he got a cone on his head over. They got a t-shirt. That's just what he does. So guys, Alex, since you're the Wednesday Night War vet, we're going to start with you. Who won tonight, NXT or AEW?
it's really close. It always is. It's really. I'm gonna say NXT.
Jeremy?
I'll say AEW just to go against Alex here as we battle for the rest of the show.
My
Out of
God.
spite.
And I have to veto this. And these were, again, it was another very even evening of shows, but I think NXT edges out a little bit. So we're going to start with NXT tonight. Starting off with Matt Riddle and Timothy Thatcher versus Imperium for the NXT Tag Team Championships. Thatcher and Bartel actually early on in the match have a really good exchange, and they're former buddies, former ring comp pals. They have some great groundwork to start. Riddle, of course, has some great power moves. Riddle tries to get a hot tag onto as he's struggling with Bartel, so he tries to monkey flip Bartel. Well, actually, he does. He doesn't just try; he succeeds. But Bartel lands onto Timothy Thatcher, that knocks him off the ring. And Thatcher just walks away. Riddle like screams out, like in just as if someone was tearing his daughter away from his arms. Come back! What are you doing? Riddle tries his best to fight off both members of Imperium. He hits a bro to sleep, the final flash, but he eats a spine buster and a PK. And Imperium hits their European uppercut bomb and win the NXT titles. We have new champions, Alex.
Yep. Yeah.
I was sort of hoping,
I was
a little
this,
more. Yeah.
I do have more. I do have more than that. I'm just saying. I was watching it like when the thing happened when Thatcher got knocked off the apron and just bailed. I was like, oh crap. They must know Pete's not coming around for a while. Because I think that Broserweights thing was good to go for months. Like, Dunn and Riddle had so much chemistry. They were so good in the ring together, all that stuff. I felt like that could have lasted forever. And they were like, okay, well, we gotta do something about this. Dunn's not here. Let's do the Thatcher thing. And they were like, well, Dunn's not coming back for a long time. So let's get it on an actual team that knows each other, that are supposed to be champions. And that makes sense. I don't know if Bartel and Eichner are probably going to be transitional champs to somebody who I don't know. Somebody mentioned this to me on Twitter. I guess they realized that Indu Sher was not quite as good. They both kind of wrestle like Cher. Like they're definitely do not feel like they have a lot of experience in the ring. Those guys are as green as Kermit's butthole. Like they do not look like they're ready for prime time. So it's good that they decided to get that out of the way and not do that anymore. The other thing I was thinking is like, well, I mean, as much as I'm going to hate to see the Broserweights like done, at least for now, at least we're going to get some pretty badass Timothy Thatcher versus Matt Riddle matches out of it. I didn't think we were getting one tonight.
No,
bonus.
We'll get to that a little later because after the match, Thatcher and Riddle brawl. And then a little later on, Riddle, I guess he's talking to General Manager William Regal, who grants him a match with Thatcher, and Thatcher attacks him again, cracks a monitor across his back. So that was a setup, but we'll come to the main event in a little bit. Next, we got Tegan Nox versus Indy Hartwell. Of course, this was an enhancement match for Tegan Nox. She hits a chokeslam and an uppercut into an enziguri, followed by an inverted cannonball. She finishes the match with the shiniest wizard. Indy Hartwell is a great prospect. She has a lot of potential. It's a good signing by NXT. If the PC is a perfect place for her to really hone her craft. And this is a good win for Tegan Nox. She looked great. Alex, any thoughts on the match?
No, I mean, I think Indy Hartwell does have is a lot of potential, just her look and everything. I do feel like it was interesting when Morrow mentioned that she's half Chilean, half Italian, but born in Australia. Don't let Vince McMahon get a hold of her because she's gonna be like wearing one of those Outback Crocodile Dundee hats, but she'll be like making pizzas. Like he just do not let him find out that she's like half these things which are totally opposite each other, but she's from Australia. Oh, all bets are off with poor Indy Hartwell. Tegan Nox, yes, this is a good momentum for her. I love that they had later in the night, they had a really good video package about Dakota Kai and Rachel Gonzalez, formerly Reina Gonzalez. But they weren't actually directly connecting them to Tegan Nox. So I like that they can be separate for a while. They'll always have an opportunity to come back and fight each other more. But yeah, Tegan Nox moving on outside of the Dakota Kai thing is really good for her right now.
We get a Rhea Ripley backstage interview or segment, vignette, whatever you want to call it, where she says that it sickens her that Charlotte is walking around with the NXT title, and she's the person who's going to bring the title back to NXT, and she's going to do it if she has to beat it into Io. So be it. And we're getting Rhea versus Io Shirai next week. And this is going to lead me into a super chat from Trickster. Thank you very much. Who says Rio has been coming across, as whiny the last 2 weeks. She picked a fight against Charlotte and lost clean to her. She's got 0 legs to stand on. Alex, something tells me you have some thoughts on how Rhea Ripley is being booked right now.
It is weird. I mean, if they had done something to protect her in that Charlotte match, Charlotte got one up on her while the ref's back was turned or something, but she tapped out clean. And so, yeah, her coming around saying, I want my title back. Like, I know you do, but you don't really have a lot of ground to stand on with this thing. And I think Io has as much right to a rematch as anybody because she had her number one contendership match versus Charlotte, and Charlotte intentionally got disqualified. To me, that's an automatic one-on-one rematch for Io. Like Charlotte said, I don't want to wrestle you anymore. I don't feel like William Regal wouldn't stand for that. He'd be like, no, restart this match, or you know what? Next week we're going to do this again. And Charlotte, if you disqualify yourself next week, you lose the title. Like, I feel like that's something that the William Regal that I know, that I've been watching for years, would have done something like that. Rhea Ripley just inserting herself in there because she feels like she should have won. As much as I love Rhea, it doesn't really play as well as she thinks it does.
She shouldn't have hit her finisher in 90 seconds at WrestleMania so Charlotte could kick out.
No, that's definitely a thing.
True.
But we're getting Rhea versus Io next week, Jeremy. Is it a little too soon for this? Because it kind of feels like a marquee match, and I think a lot of us are we're left a little still a little hungry for more Charlotte versus Io. What do you think about Rhea and Io being delivered to us next week?
Look, I always want Charlotte. Why wasn't Charlotte on this show? She's going to be on SmackDown. Can't wait for her to be on Raw. I think she's going to be on the Bump next week as well. She'll probably be on After the Bell. She's on the Distractions TEW series. We need more of the Queen, as far as I'm concerned. As far as Rhea and Io goes, it's a fine match. They've completely lost me with Rhea over the past couple of months. Like, she was super hot coming out of the Baszler match, and then the Charlotte stuff just... I thought that was the wrong tone, that entire feud. The match was good at WrestleMania, but she lost. And then, as Alex said, now she's just kind of like coming back. She's bitter. She's angry and just throwing herself in the mix. Like, you lost.
I feel like it was absolutely the wrong call to have Charlotte beat Rhea at WrestleMania. It was absolutely the wrong call to do that. Once they did it in the way that they did it, now you got to build the story off of that. You can't go back and pretend that you tapping out clean to Charlotte didn't happen. Mm-hmm. It did. It shouldn't have. They never should have booked it that way. But once they did, now you got to figure out what you're doing from there.
Anakin leaves us another super chat. Says, Alex, it makes me sad that you can't enjoy more about Raw and SmackDown. It's not Raw Fall 2018 bad, Alex.
I mean, I'm not going to quibble. Let's not split hairs here. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
DGMC leaves us a super chat, says, Warren, any good Bill Goldberg stories lately? No, there's no such thing as those. And Anita Dick says, Alex has better beard than Lamberta.
Oh,
I don't know. Yours seems to be coiffed in some way. Mine's just I didn't shave or trim for weeks.
yeah. I think I'm going on months at this point to where I haven't shaved it or trimmed it. Sometimes I have it tied up nicely into different things, but today I'm just letting it out there.
Well, speaking of letting it out there, Tony Nese left it there by losing to Jake Atlas in a round robin match in the Cruiserweight Championship tournament. Nese was in there basically as a spoiler anyway. He lost 2 of his matches, and Atlas needed the win here to move forward, and that's exactly what happened. Jake hits a snap German suplex into a Shining Wizard. He also gets a treat of Woad, and Nese unleashes a series of chops on your boy Jake Atlas. But he ends the match with that cartwheel tornado DDT off the top rope. Atlas is he's still in this 2-1. Do you think he might get into a draw with Drake Maverick, who's 1-1? Alex?
Yeah, the thing about this is I'm not really sure what they teased with the Jake Atlas interview was that if Jake could beat Tony Nese, and then he did, and Drake Maverick could somehow beat Kushida, all 3 of them would be 2-1 with losses in a round robin tournament to each other. So they would have to do, I guess, a sudden death triple threat to see who wins Group A. Meanwhile, forever loser on Raw, Akira Tozawa is running away with Group B. And seems like he can't possibly lose that. Like, even if he loses to Phantasma, I don't know how that would. I don't know how it would work. It's a weird. The whole round robin thing is odd when you have guys like mathematically eliminated, as in like Jack Gallagher won a match tonight. We'll get to it, but he couldn't have won the tournament. Mm-hmm. Even if he had won the match. So it feels like, why even, like, I guess just to play spoiler. It's a very odd format that never gets used in WWE. And I think in other companies where they do use a round robin often, they know how to book it better so that it makes sense. In this case, it's kind of like convoluted. We're not really sure who, honestly, had they not fired Drake Maverick right before this thing started, I feel like he absolutely would have been crushed 3 times in a row.
Oh, you think?
And it would have played up for comedy, and they wouldn't have done anything with it. But because they fired him and they had that really emotional thing, they were like, now we got to find a way to make him win a match versus Kushida somehow. So let's find out how they book that. That'll be fun.
Yeah. It really feels. I'm still not quite sure how to feel about the whole Drake Maverick thing, because it really does feel like a situation where they're like, oh, we could have done something very interesting with this guy. We sort of painted ourselves into a corner here. Gosh darn it. But anyway, we have the Undisputed Era who are having a Zoom call, not quite on the level of the Bubbly Bunch or anything like that, but still fun. Kyle O'Reilly's growing in a great beard as well. They put over the Velveteen Dream's loss last week to Adam Cole. And they wonder what's up with Dexter Lumis. And they sort of figure something has to be done with Lumis. So they all sort of sit there and they're like, okay, so who should go after Dexter Lumis? Everyone say it at once who it should be. And they all go for Roddy. And of course, it's Roderick Strong, because right, Jeremy? It has to be Roderick, because he's the guy who throws himself in front of the bus for everyone. He takes the bullet for everyone. He's the goof.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's the goof, but I mean, they've been teasing the Undisputed Era Roderick Strong tension for, I feel like, a year now, and nothing has come of it, and I'm fine with that. Like, I'm fine with this long-term tease and stuff. So it certainly does make sense that Roderick Strong would step in front of the bus here and take on Dexter Lumis.
But he's done that before. Cheers to your compadre behind you. But Roderick Strong has done this a few times, like, stepping in to defend Adam Cole and stuff. It's like, no, Adam, I got this. You stand back. We've seen him want to take this spot, right, Alex? I mean, this is right. To me, this is kind of long-term storytelling. They're being very consistent.
Yes, no, I agree. In order to further the dissension in the ranks, though, I would have loved it and been like, okay, ready. Everybody say who's supposed to fight Dexter Lumis on 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3. And the other 3 guys say Roddy, and then a beat later, Roddy goes, Adam. No, me. I'm young. I'll do it. Sure, why not? I'll totally fight the creepy dude who looks like he's a serial killer. That's awesome. Yeah, me. I'll do it. I'm Roddy. I'm great. Like, I feel like Roddy should be a little bit more like, I'm not so sure about this, guys, but that's great. I will say, not my joke. Totally stole it, but they need to start calling this the Bebe Bunch, because it's obviously a ripoff. So give it a funny name,
We get a nicely done video package for Karrion Kross and Scarlett. I'm gonna get used to Karrion Kross. I almost said killer. I'll get used to it. Which was very well done, and they're gonna wreak havoc. Of course, that's what they're there for. We also get a quick.
They used the End Is Near song.
Yeah. I was tricked because I hadn't heard it forever. I honestly thought it was the song they were ripping off, the Doors, the End. But it's from the old Armageddon pay-per-view,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I don't know if they used it for Invasion or not, but it was definitely an Armageddon pay-per-view that they used it for.
That was really, really, really well done. I'm here for it. Like it Tommaso Ciampa has been gone a long time from the time he got sneak attacked by Karrion Kross. So right now I just like this. I got about like two more weeks in me before I start saying, okay, now I need a Tommaso Ciampa versus Karrion Kross match. I mean, I'm fine right now. Next week I'll be less fine. The week after that, I'm be like, okay, seriously, guys, seriously, I need this match.
Well, speaking of Armageddon and old pay-per-views, D-Generation X proudly brought to us an announcement that the next NXT Takeover, which is going to be held on June 7th, is going to be called NXT Takeover in Your House, because we are all in our house. They even premiered the logo which is a combination of the NXT logo with the old school In Your House logo. Throwback left us a super chat in that regard. Thank you very much, Throwback. Says nostalgia has kicked in with the announcement of Takeover in Your House. What are your guys' favorite In Your House matches you have seen? Also, with the matches being set up, which matches are you seeing being very interesting, and how will it play out? As for me, I don't think you can go wrong by saying Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker at Bad Blood, right? Jeremy, do you have one that sticks out?
An easy one is the Canadian Stampede match. My personal is Shawn Michaels and Mick Foley at, I guess, Mankind at Mind Games. Love that match.
Alex, what about you?
It has been a long time since I have watched an In Your House pay-per-view. A long time. I don't remember what matches were on there. The one you said, though, the Michaels and Undertaker, which I did not remember as being an In Your House pay-per-view. I remember it being a good match. I didn't remember it was an In Your House one.
It was. But as things are starting to set up right now, Alex, since you're mostly the NXT guy, to follow up on Throwback's question, how do you feel things are being set up right now for Takeover? Do you see some long-term booking leading us into a couple of weeks from now?
Well, I don't know how you could do long-term booking, considering they announced it today and it's 2 weeks from now or whatever, 3 weeks from now. I think that there should be some great stuff. personally, I think you got to do a Karrion Kross Tommaso Ciampa match on that show. Tonight, we'll talk about it when they get to it, but Johnny Gargano fully called out Keith Lee. So that's probably something. You're going to have, I'm guessing, Rhea versus Charlotte 2. Or my personal preference, Charlotte did what she was supposed to do, does next week what she was supposed to do back in March, and gets involved in that match that was supposed to be between Rhea and Bianca. Like, make that match be a no contest, so both of them face Charlotte. So it's going to be Io versus Rhea versus Charlotte. So that way Charlotte can lose the NXT title and F off back to Raw and SmackDown, since there's a brand invitation. And of course, the Queen's going to get an invitation from both brands every week. So I just want my old NXT women's division back. And personally, I would have Io become the champion, so we can run back Io versus Candice with the babyface and the feuds swapped. But yeah, I'm looking forward to all of this.
Rob Wilkins leaves us a super chat. Thank you very much. Rob says, if they don't bring back Pettengill for In Your House, we riot. Well, I will anyway. Mike Tyson thought the Attitude Era was dead. Hashtag Hulbert fears Lambert. Obviously, we're going to talk about the Mike Tyson stuff a little later on, but yeah, it is the nostalgia is kicking in, isn't it?
They had Pettengill on the bump today.
Really?
I'm literally the only person who watches.
I was gonna say your bump references. Right now, you're schooling us, man.
Look, I got Asuka cut a good promo, did a good interview on the show. There's news to be covered. The bump has news, so I've gotta watch the bump. But yeah, Pettengill was on there sharing some old stories and stuff, and they brought back the guy who won the house the first time. He was 11 years old when he won the house. Yes.
Wow. Is it still up? Does the house still exist, or has it been torn down?
I didn't actually listen.
Oh, you didn't?
I didn't listen and talk. I just.
I was wondering, is the house still there? Has it been converted to condos? Is it a parking lot or whatever?
I hope that kid still lives in it.
I think they've got to give away a house for this In Your House, right? Otherwise, why are you doing this?
Exactly. What's the point? JJ Lee left us a super chat. Thank you very much. Says, after War Games and In Your House, NXT becoming the land of reviving dead IP. Sign me up for Takeover Cyber Sunday. I'd be good with that. Give me a good old fashioned NXT Takeover Judgment Day.
NXT would be absolutely the best of the three brands to do the fans get to decide who's wrestling each other tonight. Like, that would be kind of cool. If on Twitter you could vote who faces each other, that would be NXT. I'm sure the roster in NXT would have a field day with that too. That would be so much fun. So that honestly, no kidding, bring that back. That'd be great.
We get a Dakota Kai video segment with Raquel Gonzalez, so that's good stuff. Just reminding us that they're nasty heels looking out for each other. Next we get...
And Raquel Gonzalez drives a Harley.
Yeah.
So she's a badass.
And of course,
she drives a motorcycle.
And then they get rid of the jeans, right? And the chaps and the bull rope and everything. But then they have her drive the Harley, right?
I know you missed the chaps and the bull rope, but if she still had them, she would have had to ride a horse into the segment, and that would have been weird looking.
Weird or awesome, because.
Well, both.
Because we're on the subject of awesome, Grime Time Mania is running wild. Cameron Grimes defeated Finn Balor. It's a hat trick tonight, folks. And Grimes was all business. He just dove right in, tried to get the cave in straight off the bat. Finn Balor's like, son. This was a fight, though. It was very, very physical. Balor got lots of stumps and used a lot of kicks on Grime, but then Damian Priest sort of rose from behind some barricades to interfere, and he attacks Finn Balor with his nightstick, which allows ya boy Cameron to get the win with the cave-in. So I would consider this a clean win, but that's just me. I may be biased. Alex, what do you have any thoughts on all of these shenanigans?
I think it's cool that Grimes, gets a victory over Finn Balor. He'll always be able to say that. Obviously, it was not without some help, but he won't he won't pay that any mind. Balor is protected because he was attacked in this thing. I think it is funny that the old Punishment Martinez, Damian Priest. If you actually look at the timeline, the night that he attacked Keith Lee and hit him in the throat and caused him to have a bruised larynx. The night that he attacked him was during a tag match he had teaming with Velveteen Dream versus the UE. The only reason they had that match was because they were scheduled to have a match, Velveteen Dream versus Finn Balor, but they couldn't because Finn Balor had been attacked backstage. So, if it's Damian Priest to attack Finn Balor, he attacked Finn Balor backstage and then later that same night attacked Keith Lee. Like, he's shooting his shot everywhere. I want to feud with everybody. So I'm going to start attacking people willy-nilly with this club I carry around. I got to respect it, man. Like, he's got a plan. It's indiscriminate, but it's a plan. Like, just attack everybody you see, and one of them is going to get in a feud with you.
Anakin leaves us another super chat again. Thank you very, very much. Says, how long can they pause on Finn and Walter before they decide to not do it? Jeremy, do you have any thoughts on that? Because it has been a while, and it was something we were looking for. It's a marquee match.
I mean, I just wonder what they're doing. I guess they're doing Finn and Damian Priest now, so sure. I mean, they're going to have to pause until Walter can make it over. Otherwise, they don't really have a choice in the matter at this point.
Throwback leaves us another super chat. Thank you very much, Throwback. Says, Dakota and Raquel could be NXT women's tag team if done right and can go after the women's titles down the line. The women's tag titles have been on NXT once, as compared to many times on SmackDown and Raw. Yeah, I mean, Alex, you know it, I know it. It's not as if they have all that many tag teams up on main roster for Bliss Cross Applesauce to defend, right?
Yeah, especially now that Asuka is basically a singles wrestler. So the Kabuki Warriors, I mean, there's nothing wrong with having them have a tag team match every now and then, but it feels like they're definitely doing Asuka as a singles wrestler now. So they had to bring back the Iconics. There was nobody else for Bliss and Cross to face. Yeah, absolutely. Bliss and Cross or the Iconics, if they manage to beat them for the titles, coming down to NXT, where all of them were, like, they actually have that kind of connection. It's too bad they wouldn't be doing it in front of a Full Sail crowd who would totally mark out for any of those women to coming back. The NXT titles are women's tag team titles are supposed to float across all three brands. They just never float to Wednesdays.
Anakin left us another super chat. Says, did you guys hear HBK and Foley break down their Mind Games match on Edge and Christian's podcast? It was amazing. Was this recent or was this a while back? Because otherwise I'm not aware that Edge and Christian are back to doing their podcast.
Yeah, it would have to been a while back because they haven't done their podcast since like last November when the Edge retirement return rumors came back up. I did not hear that episode. I did love Edge and Christian's podcast. I've not heard that, but I will go back and listen to it because it sounds
like
amazing.
A lot of fun. Isaiah Swerve Scott backstage cuts a promo, says for him it's a win or go home tonight, and he says if you can't win a match in this tournament, you should quit wrestling. So that leads into his match with Jack Gallagher in the cruiserweight title tournament. But Tony Nese comes out and attacks Scott before the match, taking offense to that comment because Tony Nese is 0-3. Gallagher then takes control of the match for most of the match. Swerve tries to hits the house call attempts a pin on Gallagher, who kicks out. Gallagher knocks Scott the hell out with a vicious back elbow and wins the match. So he's 1-2. Gallagher and Scott are both 1-2. And Tozawa and Phantasma are Tozawa is 2-0, excuse me, and Hiko is 1-1. So this is an interesting field, Alex, when you look at what's coming up. Any feelings on how this is going to play out?
Well, number one, I think that the house call should be a much more protected finisher. That thing looks so vicious every time he hits it, and it feels like it gets kicked out of more often than not at this point. Even when he wins matches, it doesn't feel like he wins with that move. Like, it just looks so brutal. I am one who says that Swerve Scott should be much higher up the card in NXT than he is right now. I think that he's just great. And I respect the story that they're going for. Like, his mouth got him in trouble. Nese took offense to that umbrage. By the way, Tony Nese being booked to lose 3 straight matches is not really respectful of a dude who was Cruiserweight champion, won it at Mania, never got pinned to lose the title because he lost it in a multi-man match. That's, to me, it's very disrespectful to book him to lose 3 straight matches. One to Drake Maverick and one to Jake Atlas, who's like a total rookie at NXT. So anyway, I think that him versus Gallagher and Nese, or Gallagher and Nese kind of joining forces to be like the badass dudes who like to, like pick on dudes who aren't original Cruiserweight classic guys. I think that's kind of cool. This whole thing, I mean, I guess if Phantasma beats Tozawa, they're both 2-1, but Phantasma owns the tiebreaker because he beat Tozawa in their match. So would Phantasma then automatically win? They haven't explained.
Do they have? That's what I was going to say. Have they explained? Are there tiebreaker rules? Are we just assuming that we're applying G1 tiebreaker rules here? We don't know. That's
I don't know.
Fantastic. That's exactly how I feel most of the time when I try and think about WWE. Caden Carter defeated Aaliyah. It was something. Caden Carter had some good offense though. If as far as an enhancement match goes, she had a nice springboard drop kick. I like her finisher, but ultimately it was Aaliyah's desire to impress Robert Stone that got her in trouble. Okie doke.
Like, the thing about this that was funniest to me was before the commercial and then at the start of the match, they were like, "This match is brought to you by Geico. Geico brought to you this match." I'm like, I don't think Geico's too happy with which match you decided to give them on the night. Of all the matches you could have given them, like Thatcher versus Riddle, but no, we're like, okay, Geico, your sponsorship gets you Caden Carter versus
It's the bronze.
Aaliyah.
They're on the bronze level,
Geico.
Spence. That's the sponsorship. That's the thing. You need to tier up a little. Next, we had a promo. We went to have dinner at the Garganos again. And you know what? There's something extremely entertaining of thinking that Candice and Johnny sit down at their dinner table, flip out the iPad, and start watching their matches and gushing over each other. I think it's great. I was entertained by this segment. He calls Dominic Dijakovic Dijagufovic. Calls himself a stud. This was funny. Of course, they went into their dark black and white areas a couple of times. Johnny says that if you get in our business, it is our way or none. Candice calls out Mia Yim for getting countless opportunities despite losing all the time. Gargano calls out Keith Lee. Although in the meantime, Gargano called her match, Candice's match with Casey Catanzaro, a 5-star match on the Gargano scale, and said, she's not a ninja. And Candice said, well, I defeated her. She's a ninja. Johnny says, no, or Johnny says, she's a ninja. Candice says, no, she's not a ninja.
No.
She's a warrior. No, she's not a warrior. Well, she's an American.
No.
Yeah, she's American.
Okay, she is an American.
Yes.
I thought that was very funny. I have not formed a full concrete opinion on the use of the weird bleeding effect and the black and white when they turn to the camera and get all dark and serious. Like, I don't know if I know I don't love it, but I don't know yet if I hate it. So I'm still in that weird middle ground. But I do like what they're saying. Like, everything that the best villains are the ones that make sense. And I love that Johnny Gargano knows from experience. They see everyone loves you, Keith Lee, right now, but they're not going to love you forever. And I think that totally makes perfect sense. Also, I'm selfish. I've been wanting the Gargano versus Keith Lee thing since Gargano turned heel, and I'm glad we're going to get it. And also, Candice LeRae speaks perfect truth when she says, "Why does Mia Yim get things?" Mia Yim is good and fine, good for her, but every time she gets an opportunity, she blows it. What was the last opportunity that Candice LeRae got? I don't remember one. It's been a long, long time.
It has been a long time, and like we said, it does add credence. That's for sure. Moving on to our main event, where we had Matt Riddle defeating Timothy Thatcher. This was all about catch wrestling, grappling. That's what we got here, and it was a hard, snug time, folks. The Thatcher gets Riddle into an armbar with a knee early on, where he just crushes it on the side of Riddle's head. Thatcher nullifies Riddle's power offense over and over. He stomps his foot, locks in a crossface. Riddle rolls into submissions. Honestly, I'm thinking about Sean this entire time, and I'm like, Sean would just be going crazy right now reviewing this right here. Thatcher works the ankle. Riddle powerbombs Thatcher out of a triangle. Hits the bro to sleep. The floating bro is countered by Thatcher with the Fujiwara armbar. And it's a painful looking one at that. But it all comes to an end when Riddle is in a leg submission. And Thatcher and he, like, they try to jockey for position, tries to sort of get out of the submission. But Riddle instead sort of leans back, gets Thatcher's shoulders pinned, gets the 3 count. And I really like this finish, Alex. And the match as well. I thought it was a good main event.
The match was everything that you would expect a Timothy Thatcher versus Matt Riddle match to be, which is to say, like, two technical dudes, like, trying to murder each other via arms being torn out of sockets. Like, it's just, like, you're going to die because you're going to be in pain so much, you're going to will yourself to commit spontaneous suicide. Like, that's what these guys are when they fight each other. This was one of those things where, like, if it had been right in front of the right indie crowd, it would have just gotten people just on their feet the whole time. And it's weird to do this match in front of nobody, because this match is all based on, like, just wonderfully, like, pulling people's arms and wrenching people's ankles, and, oh, you got a counter for that? Well, I got a counter for your counter, and you got a counter for my counter to your first counter. Like, that's really cool. And I feel like you got to have people there who are reacting in the moment to those things. But it was great, and I agree with you. I love the finish. Thatcher was in control, but Riddle had one more counter that worked, and that was it. And then you get the real ending, which is Thatcher trying to, again, murder Riddle via arm pain.
After the match, he just locks the arm bar in again and just won't let go. I'm going to be honest, I really thought this was setting up Thatcher to join Imperium. I really did. Because
they left that open,
of course,
for down the road. Because
he did, when Thatcher was mad, he did say, "Oh, you're having me doing game shows and doing all this silly garbage with flip-flops," and and that's Imperium's MO, right? They want to protect the sanctity of the ring and all that stuff. So, hey, we're not done yet with that. JJ Lee left us a super chat, says, "Did NXT feel more fun tonight than normal to anyone else? That's one area it's fallen behind AEW, the fun factor. I felt that tonight." Alex, final thoughts on the show?
Going in an interesting direction. I mean, like, it did feel fun. There was a lot of stuff that was absent. Like they're keeping things on the back burner. But you can't just throw everything out there immediately all every week, because you're not going to have anything for the next week. Like these shows, you need to pace yourself. There's no reason you can't have two guys who are a little further down the card have a surprise 18-minute banger You know, that like, whoa, I didn't expect this match to be that good, because I tell you, all the guys and girls in the PC, if you say, you give us your best 17 and a half minutes, they'll be like, ooh, challenge accepted. Like, I want them to start doing that with these people, because they have that opportunity, you know, and they should do it more often.
Throwback leaves us another super chat. Again, thank you very much, Throwback. Says the Gargano promo is Leave It to Beaver meets The Shining. Here's Johnny. I like that. Once they start typing the same words over and over. Though these days it'd be a little less dramatic. They just have to copy paste stuff. Avery Dunn says, here's a super chat vote for Warren on Quizzlemania. If you want to see me lose miserably, that'll be fine. But if you don't want to lose miserably to pass up the chance of having your statement read online as we're doing the recording here, leave us a super chat just like Avery Dunn did. Did. Thank you very much. We're going to move on to AEW Dynamite now. Which
I like how proud
for a fraction of a second, and then the cold shower of shame fell over me. Lance Archer comes out beating up a dude, and this seems to be his thing over the past couple of weeks. He just grabs a random dude as he's coming out to the ring and just tosses him around. He comes out with Jake Roberts, who says he's coming to the ring to make an apology. He was asked to make an apology, I should say, and he's going to make an apology as soon as Brandy kisses his ass. This is a no man's land for any of you jerks, he said. He says a woman is good at home, wiping babies' butts, cooking, and occasionally keeping him warm. And he says, especially that one woman who keeps him warm because Lance's work in the ring gets him excited. Jeremy, did you get the promo?
It was a little all over the place. I would imagine that people are not happy with his comments towards women. Was it all necessary? Probably not. But you know, it's old man Jake Roberts. He thinks the women should be in a home. Many people think Jake Roberts should be in a home. So, you know, there you go. I like that Lance Archer just throws people around because everybody dies. Like, if he just runs into you backstage, like, all right, you're coming out with me and I'm just going to beat you up.
It's heat. Like you said, he's an old guy, the boomerest of boomers, right? So you're like, but you can't help but feel like it's a little cheap, but it's Jake Roberts, and it works. He tries to
he's doing a Jim Cornette gimmick.
There you go. Minus the real offensiveness. He's trying to finish off his promo, but then we hear a motor revving. And we're wondering what the hell is going on. And camera cuts to the side of the stage, and Cody's in an F-150, revving the motor, and then he charges towards the ring with his F-150, but then slowly he starts to slow down and taps into a barricade and gently knocks it over. He comes out.
This was so corny.
He brawls with Lance Archer. It ends in a stalemate where they're both staring at each other. I think corny is the right word here, Jeremy.
It was, look, I love the brawl. I thought the brawl was really well done. Obviously, Cody would be upset after what happened to his wife last week. He should have protected his wife last week. Mm-hmm. He was in the building. The truck stuff, it was like Stone Cold Diet Light. Yeah. It was so corny. And then the brawl stuff was good, but the truck stuff could have been cut out.
And that's the thing with Cody, right? There's a lot of stuff of his that works, but there's also a lot of stuff that you're just like, really? This is what you decided to do? Anyway, but it started off the evening. That was good. We get a video package putting over the tag team division, which I think is a good idea. Is it perhaps setting the stage for a new arrival? Maybe, but I think that over the past few weeks, since there haven't been since all of the tag team division hasn't been available in their wrestling, even for us who follow wrestling every week, it was good to just be reminded that that AEW has teams like Private Party and the Young Bucks and Santana and Ortiz, SCU, Dark Order, Lucha Bros, Jurassic Express, Best Friends. It was what it was, but you sort of take a step back and you're like, how damn this is stacked, right?
It was a good video, and the Private Party mention was necessary because apparently they're in a number one contenders bout at Double or Nothing. I don't know how that came about, but it did. So I'm fine with these videos. Remind people who you have on the show, especially during these times when not everybody can be used on the show.
Anakin left us a super chat, says, Jeremy should avenge Sean on Quizzlemania and put his beard on the line. If he loses, he donates it to Pete, who lost his beard and his eyebrows tonight. I mean, there's quite a bit of beard to go around. You can get creative with it.
I am shaving this beard for charity once this whole thing ends. So this is there is a reason why it's looking like this. There is an end game here.
Lee Lewis left us a super chat as well. Say, hey, Jeremy, Warren, and Alex, how are you guys tonight? Are you playing video games during quarantine? We should play online sometime, LOL. I'm splitting my time between Animal Crossing and Final Fantasy VII Remake, quite honestly, and Final Fantasy Remake 7 is awesome. What are you guys up to? Jeremy, what are you playing these days?
If you have a PlayStation 4, I'll gladly play some 2K, NBA, not WWE 2K, NBA 2K with you online.
Alex?
I play a lot of Red Dead Redemption because it's much more soothing to imagine myself as a cowboy than living in this world.
The best friend. Sorry. Yes, that's right. Okay. Yes, it is the Jurassic Express versus Best Friends match that is next. I don't know why. I got confused for a second. And here's something that was interesting. They were putting over the fact, this is what I like about the rankings, Jeremy. They mentioned the rankings here a couple of times, saying Best Friends are number 2, Jurassic Express are at number 4. Helps make this match feel important. And then on top of that, they're saying, Dark Order haven't been around. They've been stuck because of the quarantines. They can't compete, so they might not stay in their number 1 rank. Yeah, I like this because just by talking about all that stuff, instantly right there, suddenly Jurassic Express versus Best Friends, which is technically a throwaway match, suddenly got a little more interesting.
I have my own issues with the AEW rankings, but they do try to highlight the importance of them. If you want the real AEW rankings, every Thursday, Fightful, 3 o'clock, the real sports AEW power rankings.
Anyway, in this match here, Jungle Boy just ate it until Luchasaurus got a hot tag, but he gets suplexed on the floor by the Best Friends. As the Best Friends do their hug, Jungle Boy does a tope con hilo right onto them, after followed by a tornado DDT. But then Orange Cassidy is teasing to interfere in the match. But then all of a sudden, Rey Fenix flies in with a Liu Kang kick across Orange Cassidy's head. And MJF attacks Jungle Boy. Wardlow takes out Marco Stunt. And Chucky T hits the Awful Waffle for the win. Best Friends win here, but set up a couple of stories, couple of angles. Phoenix flying in out of nowhere. Man, I was not expecting that, Jeremy.
That ruled. Glad to see Phoenix back. He's awesome. I can't wait for Orange Cassidy Phoenix next week. I don't know how Orange Cassidy is going to play with no audience chanting "This is awesome" at his kicks. So maybe the AEW talent will chant "This is awesome" for him. But that match should be great. I'm assuming it'll get some time. And then, yeah, you got MJF, Jungle Boy, and potentially Luchasaurus and Wardlow getting set up here, and Best Friends win. I thought this was going to earn them a title shot, but I guess they got to beat Private Party now on the buy-in to get a title shot. But the match accomplished a few things, and it was good.
Absolutely. I like the fact that it set up it set up at least 2 matches, right? He kept the heat on 2 matches leading into Double or Nothing. I like it. think it's good. Mox arrives at the arena, and he doesn't want to talk because he's Jon Moxley and he's mad. Meanwhile, afterwards, we get a match, the women's 4-way, where Hikaru Shida defeated Penelope Ford, Chris Statlander, and Britt Baker. Put over the fact that Hikaru Shida has been 11 weeks the number 1 contender for the women's title. Now, just as a few moments ago I put over the rankings, Jeremy, Here I'm going to go like, so why hasn't she got a title shot before this? Why did she have to compete in this match to get a title shot if she has been 11 weeks at number 1?
Yeah, this is where my issues with the ranking. The women's division is just, you have women who are under 500 in the top 5. It's the NBA East, or the WWE Tag Division, whichever you want to call it. But Shida gets the win here. She should have gotten the title after she beat Britt Baker. That would have been an easy time to give her a title shot. But of course, Nyla Rose wasn't back until last week. She solidifies her spot here. And I thought, I mean, you can go through the match, but I thought it was good, little kind of spotty, but overall good.
I agree. It wasn't quite as tight as some offerings that we've seen over the past couple of weeks. Chris Statlander goes after Britt Baker at some point, pulling out her nose, and JR calls it a Greco-Japanese nostril lock, which made me laugh. Baker nails Statlander with a super kick as she went for the Big Bang Theory on Shida. Baker then hits Shida with a knee strike before hitting Statlander with a destroyer, which was cool. Ford at some point makes out with Kip Sabian on the apron. Okay. But Shida kicks Kabian. I keep calling him Kabian. Kip Sabian off the apron. There's a Falcon Arrow that follows. That Poison Rana that Ford did on Statlander was scary good. Shida wins the match in the ring, but why in the meantime is Britt Baker putting the lockjaw on the outside on Chris Statlander? Doesn't she want to win the match too? That was kind of weird to me.
No, here's the reason,
Okay,
Warren.
tell me.
Here's the
please.
reason. Because pearly whites are more important than shiny gold. And Britt Baker was not impressed with Chris Statlander's teeth and wanted to correct that.
I like the rubber glove gimmick as well. But my takeaway from this match here is when JR said, that we all know that all women hate each other, which was something he said, because we all know that, right, Alex? We know all women hate each other.
I mean, yeah, my wife hates everybody.
Sure.
I mean, just a very hateful person. If you are also in possession of a Y chromosome, my wife just seethes with just a despicable, raging hatred. It's hard. Frankly, it makes me uncomfortable when we go out in public. That's why I'm very happy we're all quarantined. Because when my wife sees another woman, she just starts going red in the face. I hate her so much. Because as we know from Jim Ross, all women hate each other.
Next we got Santana and Ortiz versus Kenny Omega and Matt Hardy, and this match was something else. Santana and Ortiz ambush Omega during his entrance. Matt took his sweet time before coming out, sort of let his partner eat a couple of moves before that. But when Hardy finally does come out, he chews at Santana's ear and he draws blood. So I'm wondering if he's been talking to Shayna Baszler recently. I like that Omega and Hardy hit a variation of the Poetry in Motion from the Hardy Boys. That they've been doing that they did that last week as well. Makes me chuckle. Santana and Ortiz have been fantastic in this match. Absolutely great. Hardy gets flipped over the top rope at some point, and his back lands really hard on the side of the apron, followed by a dive by Santana. Santana, though, eats a twist of fate, and boy, did he sell it. There's a cutter by Santana that follows, and a shotgun dropkick by Ortiz, and a cannonball senton again by Santana on Omega. Omega did a sweet counter of the street sweeper with a Hurricane Rana, which was fantastic. Match starts boiling down when Sammy Guevara comes out with a neck brace because he was run over last week. He's got a neck brace and he's leaning on a chair to come to the ring. They kick the chair out of his hands. Matt Twist of Fates him and hits a super Twist of Fate off the corner after a V-trigger by Omega to win the match. Not sure why Sammy Guevara interfered at all, but this match ruled, Jeremy.
Sammy Guevara had to sell his injuries from last week. The golf cart caused more damage than I guess a 6-foot fall onto a second roof. Great match, very strong match. Popped Alex with that one.
Secondary roof is always gonna pop me for the rest of time.
Yeah, great match. Hardy took his time getting to the ring because he's 3,000 years old, Warren. I don't know if you know that.
I mean, you're right. Yes. I'd forgotten about that.
Kenny Omega is still great. Great reminder of how good Santana and Ortiz are as a tag team, and Matt Hardy can still do his thing, especially in a tag team division. I was a little like, all right, did Santana like? It feels like they're beating Santana and Ortiz too much, especially, but Omega and Hardy lost last week, so I get they don't want them to lose 2 weeks in a row. And then we've got the stadium stampede, which we'll get to a little bit later. So I get why Hardy and Omega went over in this one. The Guevara stuff, I think it gave them kind of an out on why the Inner Circle ended up losing here, but no issue with this match. You give 4 really good workers. I mean, honestly, 3 elite workers and 1 elite tag team, 18 minutes. It's going to be tough for them to have anything less than a great match.
And I mean, and I get what you're saying with Santana and Ortiz, but we ran through the teams of the tag division just a few minutes ago. I mean, these are all protected teams. These are all teams that you could build a division around. It's just like, I mean, at some point you just have teams that have to lose, and they're when they put out great performances like that, I don't think it hurts them all that much. Lee Lewis left us a super chat. Thank you, Lee. Says favorite wrestler, Jeremy Warren. Alex told me his. Man, there's a lot of wrestlers that I really like, but like if I stand for Candice LeRae. Let's leave it at that. Jeremy, what about you?
Nowadays, the GOAT, Britt Baker.
For sure. Anakin says, Warren, you can't reference Shayna Baszler and blood without making a vampire joke. Listen, I can't make vampire jokes at this time of day, especially since I've stopped drinking coffee, or at least I've changed my coffee drinking habits. Now I only drink decaffeinated coffee. Thank you. Next we get... Hey, he paid for it. We get the announcement that Shida will challenge Nyla Rose at Double or Nothing and it's going to be a no DQ, no countouts match because Shida was cutting a promo and Nyla attacked her with a kendo stick. So that's going to be something that's going to happen. MJF defeated Lee Johnson. This was a squash. After the match, he cuts a promo and he tells Jungle Boy that MJF has some serious ring rust because he was injured despite the fact that he's overhealed. And he's going to have a tune-up match against Marco Stunt, who apparently has an open contract, Jeremy. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, this was a tune-up match. He'll get a tune-up match next week. I'm sure Stunt will surprise MJF. MJF will win. MJF is back on television. He's doing quick matches. He's cutting promos. It's all good. I'm glad the severe hangnail has cleared up. I'm glad the neck was not as bad. And now he's got to be worried about being overhealed, because if you peak too much, it can cause issues when you actually get to the match.
That's true. You just got to be careful. Maybe it'll teach him to work safe. You never know. Rob Wilkins leaves us a super chat, says, can't help but wonder if my ex-educated Lance Archer both have a knack for finding a random guy. Pineapple Pete cuts a promo. Yeah, I think he's abandoning the Suge D moniker. I think he's very comfortable with Pineapple Pete, and why wouldn't you use something that Chris Jericho has bestowed upon you? And we get the people's main event, Pineapple Pete versus Chris Jericho. Jericho comes out with everyone in Painmaker gear with a baseball bat, and he's also wearing Pineapple Pete merch. And Pete goes all in real fast on him, but he runs right into a Judas effect, and that's the end of that. Just as a quick parenthesis, you know what this reminds me of, Jeremy? The whole Pineapple Pete thing. It reminds me of that WCW story of Chris Jericho and Bill Goldberg when Jericho was up next to job to Goldberg, And he was like, look, if I'm going to get jobbed by this guy, I'm at least going to make it entertaining. And he was trying to get Goldberg to feud with him, but Goldberg didn't want, despite Jericho going on television and actually trying to play it up, and avoided the squash altogether because Goldberg didn't take him seriously. I find like this is kind of the same situation where suddenly Pineapple Pete is the bud of Jericho's jokes, and maybe he was set up to lose to Jericho, and they were like, hey, you know what? Let's make this fun. Let's at least give it, because Pineapple Pete at this point, man, he's made on the indies. He's going to get bookings right and left.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. It's unfortunate that nobody's running right now because Pineapple Pete has a great gimmick where he can just go out there. He'll get the pop from the crowd who probably watches AEW as well, and he'd be fine. But I don't know what's gonna happen with Pineapple Pete in AEW. Maybe he just gets some matches on Dark some more. But it is a shame that the indies aren't running because Pineapple Pete would be great for any of those companies.
But the big story here is what happens after the match where Jericho says Paige is bushwhacking, picking berries, and the Jacksons are pouting at home. But nonetheless, he challenges the Elite to a stadium stampede match at Double or Nothing in a football stadium, 80,000 seats large. We don't know what it is, but it's going to be happening at Double or Nothing. And he says, well, wait for your response. Who comes out to give the response? None other than Vanguard 1, who accepts the challenge on behalf of the Elite. But then Chris Jericho commits murder live on television and using his baseball bat that he has named Floyd destroys a broken universe stalwart, completely eliminates Vanguard 1 from eternity, Alex. This is an auspicious moment in the history of our sport.
Yeah, I mean, Vanguard 1 has been with us for years. Like he started the whole final deletion thing. All that stuff was all Vanguard 1. I mean, we all know that next week or the week after, Matt Hardy's going to bring out Vanguard 2, and then that'll be it. It'll be fine. But my favorite part of all of this was Matt Hardy coming down to the ring and cradling all of the broken pieces of Vanguard 1, just crying over his dead body. It reminded me of old action movies where like the partner cops, one guy takes a few bullets and they say, hey man, Matt, I can't feel my blades, my helicopter blades. Are they still there? No, you're fine, Vanguard. You're fine. It's totally fine. Hey Matt, remember that time we went fishing? Just you and me. We went out on that big boat and you caught that big marlin. That was good times, man. Hey, you're talking crazy, man. You're going to be fine. Can I get a medic over here now? Hey, you're going to be fine. Don't worry about it. Hey, Matt. Matt, everything's cold, Matt. What's going on? Vanguard, I promise you, you're going to be fine. Hey, Matt, it's weird. I only had 2 days to retirement. Thank you. And
scene. Thank you for that, Alex. It also reminds me.
You're welcome.
Also reminds me of a chapter in Final Fantasy VII, but that's a whole. No spoilers. No spoilers. We get the announcement. Jeremy, walk me through this. Mike Tyson is going to be at Double or Nothing to present the TNT Championship to either Lance Archer or Cody Rhodes. Mike Tyson, former world champion, former member of D-Generation X. Mike Tyson, former WWE official. This is news.
He's punched Chris Jericho, so he's not.
That's true.
If Mike Tyson doesn't punch anybody at Double or Nothing, why are you bringing him in? It's great timing. I don't know how this aligned, if this was part of the plan all along. I would assume it was. But, Tyson's been doing these workout videos all week and teasing exhibition bout comebacks. MLW is like, hey, come here, fight low-key and stuff. And then AEW just comes in like, yeah, we got Mike Tyson for Double or Nothing. So I don't know. Again, the timing worked out great for AEW, and I'm excited to see Mike Tyson just present the title. He's got to punch somebody. If he just hands the title to Cody or Lance Archer, it's a waste of an appearance.
Yeah, the timing is really strange now that, like everyone is sort of challenging him on TikTok and social media and stuff. It's I don't know if it's a coincidence. It's really weird, but hey, okay. Well, it's like someone told me on Twitter, hey, you got a sports figure to come in and, inaugurate the belt. I'm like, it's cool. Maybe they just couldn't get Sting. I don't know. Just saying. Michael Morgan left us a super chat. Thank you, Michael. Says, take my money for Alex's performance. Anakin leaves us another super chat. Says, $5 for that awesome improv scene from Alex. Give that man an Oscar, damn it. I don't want to pull the curtain too much, but I'm pretty sure Alex was plugging away at that script.
Nothing got written down, but it was all up here. I was working on it in my old noggin. But thank you.
Main event time, we saw Brody Lee defeat Christopher Daniels. Brody Lee, who the self-proclaimed AEW World Champion because he's running around with a belt that he stole. Lee no-sells Christopher Daniels' offense to begin with, sends Daniel to the floor, and everyone brawls there, but Daniels fights back and dives on Lee. But Lee stays dominant for most of this match here. He even stares down the other SCU members who are in the audience. He superplexes Daniels during the commercial, which was a nice, sweet spot. Also hits a slingshot senton by Brody Lee, which served to remind us how mobile this guy can be. Daniels counters with a big back body drop and a DDT, which allows Daniels to get some offense in. A Hurricane Rana and a running elbow strike. Then 10 starts running, the Dark Order member 10 starts running interference, but SCU come in to take him out. Daniel uses a chair on Brody Lee, and he locks in the Koji clutch. But the putties run in, the referee's distracted, SCU chase him out, and so does Colt Cabana, who apparently is getting involved in this scene. Daniels hits the Angel's wings, but Lee kicks out of it at 1. The discus lariat puts your boy Christopher Daniels away. Clearly, the objective here was to get Brody Lee extra over as a strong heel, which was the case. It was a physical match. Can't help but think that Daniels was maybe at some points a little step behind again, and it's a little weird that the Angel's wings, it's Daniels' finisher since, how long has he been doing this? 25 years, something like that. I mean, it's really weird that Lee kicks out of it, especially at 1. But then again, I get what they're trying to do. Jeremy, try to help me make sense of all of this.
I mean, he kicked out of the Angel's wings and he kicked out of the BME as well. So, yeah, the objective was to put Brody Lee over strong. And this was a good way to do it. He's been squashing enhancement talents. This match made sense because if you'll recall, when, Christopher Daniels was always like, the Exalted One doesn't exist. You guys are faking all that. And he came out in the robe that one time and he did the "it's me" gimmick, and and then he stayed aligned with SCU. Colt Cabana's interference made sense too because he came out that same night. I think that was his official debut, coming out and helping SCU. So all of this stuff made sense, and the end goal was to make Brody Lee, because it feels like Brody Lee is just a thrown together challenger.
Sure.
Due to circumstances. So you got to put this guy over strong in the 2 weeks you have heading into Double or Nothing. And this was a good way to do it. You can beat Daniels. He's fine. And it gives Brody Lee some credibility, especially kicking out of Daniels' big stuff.
After just before I go into after the match, Anakin JMT leaves us another super chat. Thank you again. Says, Warren, are they Rita's putties or Zed's putties? I want you both to weigh in on this. Rita, right? They have to be Rita's.
I think Rita.
Alex.
Rita.
Alex was disgusted that you even bothered to ask him.
I mean, it's obvious.
I think it's obvious too. The Mox runs in after the match, beats up some putties, says he doesn't suffer fools, and Brody Lee made a foolish decision, and he's going to pay for it dearly with interest. And that's how we wrap up AEW tonight. Any final thoughts on the evening that we had, Jeremy?
I thought AEW thought it was better than NXT. Y'all are both wrong, but that's okay. Overall, a good show. They set up a lot for Double or Nothing. They've got the majority of their roster back, which is always good. I think the only main players missing are Hangman and the Bucks. Everyone else is, I think, pretty much back. I might be missing somebody, but they're like the last 2 weeks of AEW have been very good after some of those empty arena shows just got a little lull for me.
To wrap these up, we got a couple of super chats that are on the same subject. Lee Lewis says, "Are you guys watching The Last Dance? It's so good." And Dan Heyman says, "Thoughts on Undertaker documentary so far?" Alex, have you had a chance to start watching it?
I have not been watching Undertaker. I'll probably binge it once it's all done.
Jeremy?
And all available. No.
Jeremy, what about you?
I mean, it's only been one episode of the Undertaker documentary, right. And I watched it, and it was good. I'm a sucker for any like real behind the scenes footage like that. The same with The Last Dance. Like the quotes and stuff are great, but like give me all the behind the scenes footage.
I've watched half of the first episode. I'm sort of like Alex. Like I like to binge once everything is out. But especially in this context. But I really like the first half hour. I've been into the dark side of the ring stuff. If you haven't watched the Road Warriors episode, it's probably the best one they've done this season. It is so good. And what's always fantastic about the dark side of ring stuff, even if it's stories that you've heard about, you know, like the one about UWF, and it's all stories you've heard about. Seeing people who were very, very close to these story protagonists talk about it. You see Hawk's brothers there who can't contain themselves and are still crying that he's gone. It's that whole human dimension that oftentimes we don't have in these stories as wrestling fans that make the series so fantastic. And honestly, the Road Warriors one was pretty damn good. And I hope you thought this evening was pretty damn good. Leave us a thumbs up on the video here if you liked it. Jeremy, why don't you let everyone know where they can find you and what you got coming up this week?
Oh, God. You can follow me on Twitter at Jeremy Lambert 88. The Distraction. Myself, Joseph Holbert, who does features for Fightful. 3 shows a week. Tuesday, we review movies starring wrestlers. We just reviewed No Holds Barred, starring Hulk Hogan, a fantastical movie. Thursdays, we actually talk wrestling. If you want to hear us talk wrestling, we're not quite on Alex's level of our disdain for all professional wrestling, but we're getting there. We need to do a crossover Distraction Sour Graps episode where we just slam everything and we're just all miserable together. And then Saturdays, we play TEW and we book modern day WWE with a little twist of some people from the past. So that series kicks off on Saturday. So 3 shows a week from myself and Joe Holbert. Check that out. It's a lot of fun, the stuff we do.
Alex, what about you?
I lambaste the creative or lack thereof on Mondays and Fridays. Actually, I do the podcast on Tuesdays and Saturdays, so I don't have to watch that shit in real time.
FightfulSelect.com if you want all of that great stuff. What a sell Alex just put on us. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this evening. You can follow me on Twitter at Mr. Warren Hayes or on my own YouTube channel at youtube.com/Mr. Warren Hayes. I'm recording live tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern. Why don't you come say hello? But thank you very much for joining us tonight on Fightful. Follow Fightful on social media if you don't. Check us out at Fightful, Fightful.com, FightfulWrestling.com. We'll see you next time.